What if being magnetic wasn't about trying to impress others, but about mastering your inner world? Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. These words hint at a profound truth. True magnetism doesn't come from chasing external validation or forcing connections. It comes from cultivating an authentic presence rooted in self-awareness and emotional resilience. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy practiced by emperors and thinkers alike, offers timeless principles for achieving this kind of natural charisma. Today, we'll explore how presence, emotional mastery, and self-awareness can help you become effortlessly magnetic, not by trying to control how others see you, but by focusing on what you can control, your own inner world. Whether you're navigating social situations, building relationships, or simply wanting to feel more grounded in your day-to-day life, these Stoic practices are as relevant now as they were 2,000 years ago. Let's uncover how to draw people in, not by force, but by simply being the best version of yourself. Stoics believe that true connection begins with being fully present. This idea is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, where the ability to focus on the here and now is seen as a foundational skill for living a meaningful and connected life. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic thinkers, often spoke about the importance of directing our attention to what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses in the present moment. He famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This mindset isn't just about self-control, it's about creating space for authentic, undistracted connection with others. Think about it. How often are you truly present when you're talking to someone? In a world filled with constant notifications, endless scrolling, and the pressure to multitask, it's easy to let our minds wander. We might be physically in a conversation, but mentally we're planning the next task, replaying an earlier event, or even just waiting for our turn to speak. The Stoics would argue that this divided attention not only weakens our ability to connect, but also robs us of the richness of the moment itself. Here's where Stoic practices can help. By training ourselves to focus on the present, we can break free from the pull of distractions and engage more deeply with the people around us. It starts with small, intentional actions, like putting your phone away during conversations, actively listening without interrupting, or simply taking a moment to ground yourself before entering a social interaction. These habits might seem simple, but they're powerful tools for cultivating presence. Reflect on this. When was the last time you had a conversation where you felt completely immersed, where you weren't thinking about the past or the future, but were fully engaged in the exchange? That's the kind of connection Stoicism encourages, one where we're not just physically present, but mentally and emotionally grounded in the moment. It's not about forcing a connection, it's about allowing it to unfold naturally by showing up with your full attention. This isn't just a philosophical ideal, it's a practical way to improve your relationships and your sense of fulfillment. When you're fully present, you're not just giving others your time, you're giving them your energy, your focus, and your authenticity. And that's where true magnetism begins. Why do we feel drawn to people who remain calm under pressure? There's something magnetic about someone who can face chaos with steadiness, isn't there? This isn't just about being unshakable, it's about emotional resilience, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that true strength lies not in suppressing emotions, but in mastering them. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested." What he's saying here is that emotional resilience allows us to invest our energy wisely. focusing on what truly matters rather than being swept away by every passing storm. Think about it, when someone stays composed in the face of adversity, it's not just impressive, it's inspiring. Their calmness becomes a kind of quiet power, drawing others toward them. Picture a leader navigating a crisis, maybe a CEO steering their company through a financial downturn, or a teacher maintaining order during a classroom emergency. Their ability to stay grounded doesn't just solve problems, it creates a ripple effect, encouraging those around them to stay focused and hopeful. This is the kind of magnetism that comes from emotional resilience. So, how does this apply to you? Take a moment to reflect. Can you recall a time when your own emotional resilience made a difference for someone else? Maybe it was as simple as staying calm during a heated argument or offering steady support to a friend in distress. Those moments, however small, reveal how your resilience can become a source of strength, not just for yourself, but for others too. And that's the beauty of this Stoic practice. It's not just about personal growth, it's about creating a positive impact on the people around you. Stoics believe that knowing yourself is the first step to genuine connection. It's this deep self-awareness that allows you to act authentically without pretending or forcing anything. When you truly understand who you are, your actions naturally align with your values, and that's what makes you magnetic. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often emphasized the importance of self-reflection. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This isn't just about introspection. It's about actively examining your thoughts and behaviors to ensure they're in harmony with your core beliefs. So, how do we cultivate this kind of self-awareness? One powerful Stoic practice is journaling. It's not just about writing down your day, it's about digging deeper. Ask yourself questions like, what did I do today that felt aligned with my values? Or, where did I act out of fear or insecurity? Over time, this kind of reflection helps you see patterns in your behavior and gives you the clarity to make intentional choices. Journaling becomes a mirror, showing you not just who you are, but who you want to become. Here's a challenge for you. Take a moment to think about your core values. What truly matters to you? Now, reflect on your recent actions. Do they reflect those values, or are there areas where you've strayed? This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. The more you understand yourself, the easier it becomes to live authentically. And when you live authentically, people are naturally drawn to you because your presence feels real, grounded, and trustworthy. That's the kind of magnetism that doesn't need to be forced, it just is. When was the last time you truly listened to someone without judgment? Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but fully engaging with their words, their emotions, and their perspective. This is where Stoic philosophy offers us a profound lesson, one that transforms how we connect with others. The Stoics believed that listening wasn't just a passive act, it was an active practice of understanding and empathy. As Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This simple yet powerful idea reminds us that true connection begins with silence, with the willingness to step back and truly hear what someone else is saying. Listening, in the Stoic sense, is about more than just hearing words. It's about creating space for someone else's experience, their thoughts, and their feelings without rushing to fix, judge, or interrupt. It's about being present fully and completely in the moment. Think about it. When someone listens to you in this way, doesn't it feel like a gift? That's because it is. Active listening builds trust, deepens understanding, and fosters a sense of mutual respect, qualities that are essential for meaningful relationships, whether with a partner, a friend, or a colleague. Let's take it a step further. Imagine you're in a heated discussion at work. Instead of preparing your rebuttal while the other person is speaking, what if you paused, truly listened, and then responded with clarity and calm? This isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about creating an environment where everyone feels heard and valued. The Stoics teach us that listening isn't a weakness, it's a strength. It's a way to diffuse tension, to find common ground, and to build bridges where division might otherwise grow. So, how can you put this into practice? Start small. In your next conversation, focus entirely on the person speaking. Resist the urge to interject or plan your response. Instead, listen to understand, not to reply. Notice their tone, their body language, and the emotions behind their words. You might be surprised at how this simple shift can transform your interactions. And here's a challenge for you. After that conversation, take a moment to reflect. How did it feel to listen so deeply? What did you learn about the other person, or even about yourself? The beauty of Stoic listening is that it doesn't just improve your relationships, it also deepens your own sense of inner calm. When you listen without judgment, you release the need to control or dominate the conversation. You become a magnet not because you're forcing connection, but because you're creating a space where genuine connection can flourish. And isn't that what we all crave? To be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. Stoics believe that letting go of outcomes frees us to connect authentically. This idea might sound counterintuitive at first. After all, don't we want to achieve specific results in our relationships or interactions? But here's the key: when we focus too much on the outcome, we risk losing sight of the present moment. We become desperate, needy, or overly invested in how others perceive us. Stoicism teaches us to detach from these outcomes, not because we don't care, but because we understand that many factors are beyond our control. Imagine you're at a networking event. If your sole focus is on landing a job offer or making a powerful connection, you might come across as pushy or insincere. But if you approach the conversation with genuine curiosity and a focus on the process, listening, sharing ideas, and building rapport, you create a space for authentic connection. The Stoic principle here is clear: focus on what you can control, which is your effort and attitude, rather than the unpredictable reactions of others. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, put it this way: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. When we attach ourselves to specific outcomes, we often create unnecessary anxiety. What if they don't like me? What if I fail? These fears can paralyze us and prevent us from engaging fully in the moment. By practicing detachment, we free ourselves from these mental burdens and open the door to more meaningful interactions. Let's take another example: dating. If you're overly fixated on whether someone will call you back or if the relationship will work out, you might overthink every word or gesture. But if you approach the experience with a mindset of detachment, focusing on enjoying the conversation and appreciating the person in front of you, you'll naturally exude confidence and ease. This shift in perspective not only makes you more magnetic, but also allows the other person to feel comfortable and valued. So here's a question to reflect on: how often do you find yourself attached to specific outcomes in your interactions? Does this attachment create tension or block the natural flow of connection? By embracing Stoic detachment, you can move through the world with a sense of calm and authenticity, making room for genuine relationships to flourish. How often do you pause to appreciate the people in your life? It's easy to get caught up in the rush of daily responsibilities, but Stoicism teaches us that gratitude is a powerful tool for cultivating contentment and building meaningful connections. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the importance of gratitude in his writings. He once said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This simple yet profound idea reminds us to find value in the present moment and to appreciate the people and experiences that enrich our lives. For the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just about saying thank you or acknowledging good fortune. It was a daily practice of recognizing the abundance already present in our lives, even in the face of challenges. By focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we shift our perspective and open ourselves to deeper connections with others. Gratitude fosters humility and empathy, qualities that naturally draw people toward us. When we express genuine appreciation, we create a sense of warmth and trust that strengthens relationships. So how can you incorporate this Stoic practice into your own life? Start small. Each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as a kind word from a colleague, the comfort of a warm meal, or the support of a loved one. Writing these down can help solidify the practice, making it a habit over time. The act of acknowledging these moments not only uplifts your own spirit, but also makes you more attuned to the goodness in others, deepening your ability to connect. Gratitude also has a ripple effect. When you express appreciation, it encourages others to do the same. Imagine the impact of a simple thank you or a heartfelt acknowledgement of someone's effort. These small gestures can transform interactions, creating a sense of mutual respect and understanding. Over time, this practice builds a foundation of trust and goodwill, making your relationships more resilient and fulfilling. Take a moment now to reflect. What are 3 things you're grateful for today? How might expressing that gratitude change the way you interact with others? By embracing this Stoic practice, you'll not only enrich your own life, but also create a magnetic presence that draws people closer to you, effortlessly and authentically. Stoics believe that kindness is a strength, not a weakness. It's not about seeking approval or bending to others' expectations. It's about embodying a calm, grounded sense of self that allows you to act with genuine care. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, taught that kindness is a reflection of inner peace. When you're at ease with yourself, you don't need to force connections or manipulate others to feel valued. Instead, kindness becomes a natural extension of your character, drawing people toward you without effort. Seneca once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that every interaction is a chance to practice this virtue, not for recognition, but because it aligns with who we are. Imagine this: you're walking down the street and you notice someone struggling with a heavy bag. You offer to help, not because you expect anything in return, but because it feels right. That small act of kindness might seem insignificant, but it leaves a lasting impression. It's not about grand gestures, it's about the consistent, quiet ways we show up for others. These moments create ripples, building connections that feel authentic and unforced. Here's a practical challenge for you. Today, perform 1 act of kindness, whether it's holding the door for someone, offering a sincere compliment, or simply listening without judgment. Afterward, take a moment to reflect. How did it feel? Did it change the energy of the interaction? Often, these small acts not only uplift others, but also deepen our own sense of fulfillment. Kindness, when practiced sincerely, becomes a magnet for meaningful connections, rooted in the Stoic belief that true strength lies in how we treat others. Why do we feel more connected to people who are authentic about their flaws? It's because perfection is an illusion, a facade that creates distance, not connection. Stoicism teaches us that embracing imperfection isn't a weakness, it's a strength. In fact, it's one of the most magnetic qualities we can cultivate. The Stoics, like Epictetus, believed deeply in humility and self-acceptance. He once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This isn't about striving for an unattainable ideal. It's about accepting where you are, flaws and all, while still working toward growth. Think about it. When someone openly acknowledges their mistakes or limitations, it doesn't make us think less of them. On the contrary, it makes them more relatable, more human. This is the power of vulnerability. By showing that we're not perfect, we invite others to do the same, creating a space for genuine connection. Imagine a leader who admits they don't have all the answers, or a friend who shares their struggles instead of pretending everything's fine. Doesn't that honesty draw you closer to them? Here's a practical way to apply this. The next time you make a mistake, resist the urge to hide it or deflect blame. Instead, own it. Say, "I messed up and here's what I'm doing to fix it." This kind of transparency builds trust and respect, both in personal relationships and professional settings. It shows that you're secure enough to acknowledge your imperfections and committed enough to learn from them. So take a moment to reflect. How do you handle your own flaws? Are you quick to judge yourself, or do you approach your imperfections with curiosity and compassion? Remember, being magnetic isn't about being flawless, it's about being real. And the more real you are, the more others will feel drawn to your authenticity. Stoics believe that silence can speak louder than words. In a world where we're often encouraged to fill every pause with sound, the Stoics remind us that silence holds a unique kind of power. It's not just the absence of noise, it's a space for reflection, a chance to truly listen, and an opportunity to connect more deeply with others. Think about it. When you're silent, you give yourself the chance to process what's being said, to understand the emotions behind the words, and to respond with intention rather than reacting impulsively. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." This idea extends to conversations as well. By choosing silence, you're not avoiding engagement, you're creating a moment of calm, a pause that allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than being swept up in the heat of the moment. Silence, in this way, becomes a tool for connection, not distance. Here's a practical way to apply this. The next time you're in a conversation, try pausing for just a few seconds before you respond. This small act of silence can transform the way you communicate. It gives the other person the sense that you're truly listening, and it gives you the clarity to respond in a way that aligns with your values. Imagine how different conversations could be if we all took a moment to breathe, to think, and to choose our words with care. So, here's a challenge for you. In your next conversation, whether it's with a friend, a colleague, or even someone you've just met, practice the art of silence. Notice how it changes the dynamic. Does it feel uncomfortable at first? That's normal. But over time, you might find that these quiet moments become a source of strength, a way to build deeper connections without forcing them. Silence, as the Stoics teach us, isn't empty, it's full of potential. Do you give more than you receive, or vice versa? This question might feel uncomfortable, but it's one worth asking. Stoicism teaches us that relationships thrive not on extremes, but on balance. The Stoics believe that mutual respect and reciprocity are the cornerstones of any meaningful connection. Seneca once said, "Injustice never rules forever." What he meant is that imbalance, whether it's giving too much or taking too much, eventually erodes trust and respect. True strength lies in fostering relationships where both parties feel valued and heard. So, how do we apply this? Start by recognizing your own tendencies. Do you often find yourself overextending, giving your time and energy without receiving much in return? Or perhaps you're on the other side, taking more than you give without realizing it. The Stoics would remind us that neither extreme serves us or our relationships well. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls, it's about creating space for mutual respect to grow. When you communicate your needs clearly and listen to others with the same care, you create a dynamic where everyone benefits. Think about the relationships in your life, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or a colleague. Are they balanced? Do you feel a sense of equity, or is there a noticeable tilt? Take a moment to reflect on how you can bring more reciprocity into your interactions. It might mean saying no when you're stretched too thin or offering support when someone else needs it. The key is to approach this with intention, not obligation. After all, Stoicism isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And when you cultivate balance, you'll find that your connections become deeper, healthier, and more fulfilling. Stoics believe that vulnerability is a sign of strength, not weakness. At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive. After all, isn't Stoicism about controlling emotions and maintaining composure? But here's the twist. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending to be invincible. It's about understanding what's within your control and what isn't. And vulnerability, it's one of the most human things we can embrace. It takes courage to let others see you as you truly are, flaws and all. That courage is where strength lies. Think about it this way: when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're not admitting defeat. You're showing that you're secure enough to be honest, to admit when you don't have all the answers, and to connect with others on a deeper level. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And reacting with vulnerability by sharing your struggles, fears, or doubts can create a space for genuine connection. It's not about losing control, it's about choosing to be authentic. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you're having a tough time at work. Maybe a project didn't go as planned, or you're feeling overwhelmed. Instead of putting on a brave face and pretending everything's fine, you decide to open up to a colleague. You share your frustrations, your doubts, even your fears of failure. What happens next? More often than not, that colleague doesn't judge you, they relate to you. They might share their own struggles, and suddenly you're not alone. That moment of vulnerability becomes a bridge, strengthening your relationship and creating trust. Now take a moment to reflect. How do you handle vulnerability in your own relationships? Do you find it easy to open up, or do you tend to hold back? Remember, vulnerability isn't about oversharing or losing control. It's about choosing to connect authentically. It's about recognizing that showing your true self takes courage, and that courage can transform how you relate to others. So, the next time you're faced with a moment where you could hide or open up, consider this. Vulnerability might just be your greatest strength. How often do you rush through interactions without truly connecting? It's easy to get caught up in the pace of life, focusing on what's next instead of being fully present in the moment. But the Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, saw patience as more than just waiting. It was a way to cultivate deeper understanding and meaningful connections. In his writings, Marcus reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This strength lies in the ability to pause, to listen, and to engage with others without the urgency of judgment or haste. Patience in the Stoic sense isn't passive, it's an active practice of giving space to others and to ourselves. When we slow down, we create room for empathy, for curiosity, and for genuine connection. Think about a time when you felt truly heard. Chances are, the person listening wasn't rushing to respond or interrupt. They were patient, and that patience made all the difference. In relationships, whether personal or professional, patience allows us to see beyond surface-level reactions and understand the motivations, fears, and desires of others. Here's a practical way to apply this. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to jump in with your own thoughts right away. Instead, take a moment to truly absorb what the other person is saying. Notice their tone, their body language, and the emotions behind their words. This small act of patience can transform the dynamic, making the interaction more meaningful and authentic. So, as you go about your day, challenge yourself to practice patience in your next interaction. Whether it's with a colleague, a friend, or even a stranger, see what happens when you slow down and truly engage. You might just find that patience isn't just a virtue, it's a bridge to deeper, more fulfilling connections. Stoics believe that holding onto anger only harms ourselves. It's a powerful truth, isn't it? When we cling to grudges or resentment, we're not punishing the other person, we're burdening ourselves with unnecessary weight. The Stoics understood this deeply, and their philosophy offers a clear path to freedom through the art of letting go. At its core, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and reactions, while releasing what we cannot, including the actions of others. Forgiveness, then, isn't about excusing someone's behavior, it's about liberating ourselves from the chains of negativity. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Think about that for a moment. When we allow anger to fester, it consumes our energy, clouds our judgment, and distances us from meaningful connections. The Stoic approach is to rise above it, not out of weakness but out of strength. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or ignoring what happened. It means choosing peace over bitterness, growth over stagnation. Here's a practical way to apply this. Imagine a past conflict that still lingers in your mind. Maybe it's a disagreement with a friend, a misunderstanding at work, or even a childhood wound. Now consider what it would feel like to release that tension. Picture the relief of no longer carrying that weight. The Stoics would remind us that this isn't just a mental exercise, it's a step toward living a freer, more fulfilling life. By letting go, we create space for healthier connections, both with others and with ourselves. So, let me ask you this: is there a grudge or resentment you've been holding onto? What would it feel like to set it down, even just for today? The Stoics would say that the power to do so lies entirely within you. And when you choose to release that burden, you're not just practicing Stoicism, you're reclaiming your peace. Do you struggle to say no, even when it's necessary? Many of us do, often because we fear disappointing others or being seen as unkind. But here's the thing: Stoicism teaches us that setting healthy boundaries isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect and a way to live with greater integrity. Think about it. If you're constantly saying yes to everyone else, when do you say yes to yourself? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply: no man is free who is not master of himself. This idea is at the heart of setting boundaries. It's about recognizing that you have control over your own choices, your time, and your energy. And when you set clear limits, you're not just protecting yourself, you're also showing respect for the people around you. A boundary isn't a wall, it's a line that says, this is where I stand and this is what I value. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you're constantly asked to take on extra work at your job, even though you're already overwhelmed. Without boundaries, you might keep saying yes, only to end up exhausted and resentful. But what if you respectfully communicated your limits? I'd love to help, but I need to focus on my current priorities to do my best work. That's not rejection, it's clarity, and clarity builds trust both with yourself and others. Boundaries also play a crucial role in relationships. They prevent burnout, reduce resentment, and create space for healthier connections. When you know your limits and honor them, you show up as your best self, calm, grounded, and present. And that's magnetic. People are drawn to those who respect themselves enough to set boundaries because it reflects strength and authenticity. So here's a question for you. What's one boundary you need to set in your life? It could be with your time, your energy, or even the way you allow others to speak to you. Take a moment to reflect on this. Remember, setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out. It's about creating the space you need to thrive. And when you do, you'll find that you're not just protecting your peace, you're also cultivating a deeper sense of self-respect and connection with the world around you. Stoics believed that humor can lighten the heaviest of burdens, and they weren't wrong. In fact, humor, when used wisely, is one of the most powerful tools for building connection and making ourselves more magnetic. It's not about cracking jokes or being the center of attention. It's about creating a sense of ease and camaraderie that draws people in. Think about it. When someone uses humor to break the ice or diffuse tension, it instantly makes the atmosphere more inviting. And that's exactly what the Stoics encouraged, using lightheartedness to navigate life's challenges without losing sight of what truly matters. Take Seneca, for example. He once wrote, "A cheerful temper joined with innocence will make beauty attractive, knowledge delightful, and wit good-natured." What he's saying is that humor isn't just about making people laugh, it's about fostering goodwill and creating a space where others feel comfortable. It's a subtle way of showing strength because it takes confidence to laugh at life's absurdities without letting them overwhelm you. Now, let's bring this into the real world. Imagine you're in a heated discussion with a friend or coworker. Things are getting tense and it feels like the conversation is about to spiral. Instead of doubling down, you crack a light, self-deprecating joke. Suddenly, the mood shifts, the tension eases, and the other person softens. That's the magic of humor. It doesn't erase the problem, but it creates a moment of connection that makes resolving the issue easier. So here's something to reflect on. How do you use humor in your interactions? Do you lean into it to create connection, or do you shy away, worried it might come off the wrong way? The Stoics remind us that humor is a tool, not a distraction. It's about finding balance, knowing when to laugh and when to listen, when to lighten the mood and when to take things seriously. And when used with care, it can make you not just magnetic but deeply relatable. How often do you truly put yourself in someone else's shoes? It's easy to get caught up in our own thoughts and feelings, but the Stoics believed that empathy was a cornerstone of meaningful connection. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often emphasized the importance of understanding others' perspectives. He once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil, but I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own." This powerful insight reminds us that empathy isn't just about sympathy, it's about seeing the shared humanity in everyone, even those who challenge us. Empathy, in the Stoic sense, isn't about blindly agreeing with others or neglecting your own values. It's about making the effort to understand where someone is coming from, even if their actions or words seem difficult to accept. Think about a time when you felt misunderstood. How did it affect you? Now, flip the script. What if you took a moment to truly listen and understand someone else, even when it feels uncomfortable? This kind of empathy can dissolve misunderstandings and build stronger, more authentic relationships. Here's a practical way to bring this into your life. In your next conversation, pause and ask yourself, what might this person be feeling or experiencing right now? It's a small shift, but it can create a profound impact. By practicing empathy, you're not just connecting with others, you're also cultivating a deeper sense of compassion and patience within yourself. So, the next time you find yourself in a challenging interaction, remember Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. Approach it with empathy and see how it transforms the way you relate to the world around you. Stoics believed that consistency is the foundation of trust. It's not just about doing the right thing once or twice, but about aligning your actions with your values day after day, even when no one is watching. This is where true reliability and authenticity are born. When your words match your actions and your actions reflect your principles, people notice. They begin to see you as someone they can depend on, someone who doesn't waver when challenges arise. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is a powerful reminder that consistency starts with self-awareness. You have to know what you stand for before you can act in a way that reflects it. When you live this way, you're not just building trust with others, you're also building trust with yourself. You become someone who can rely on their own decisions and actions, which is a cornerstone of inner strength. Think about a relationship in your life where consistency has played a role. Maybe it's a friend who always shows up when they say they will, or a mentor who consistently offers guidance without hesitation. Over time, their reliability creates a deep sense of connection and safety. You know they'll be there, not because they're trying to impress you, but because it's who they are. That kind of consistency doesn't just strengthen bonds, it creates a magnetic pull. People are drawn to those who are steady and true. Now, take a moment to reflect on your own life. Are your actions aligned with your values? Do you show up consistently, even in the small things? It's not about perfection, but about progress. Every time you act in alignment with your principles, you're building a reputation of trustworthiness, not just for others, but for yourself. And that's where true magnetism begins to grow. When was the last time you paused to reflect on your interactions with others? In our fast-paced lives, it's easy to let days blur together without taking a moment to truly consider how we've connected or disconnected with those around us. The Stoics, particularly thinkers like Seneca, believed that reflection wasn't just an occasional exercise but a daily necessity. Seneca once wrote, "Each day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well." For him, reflection was a tool to build resilience and deepen understanding, not just of the world but of ourselves and our relationships. Reflection, in the Stoic sense, isn't about dwelling on regrets or overanalyzing every detail. It's about observing patterns, recognizing what strengthens or weakens your connections, and learning from those insights. Imagine this: at the end of each day, you sit quietly and review your interactions. Did you listen fully, or were you distracted? Did you respond with patience, or did frustration take over? This kind of honest self-examination helps you grow more intentional in how you engage with others, fostering deeper, more meaningful relationships. One practical way to incorporate this into your life is through journaling. Writing down your thoughts at the end of the day can help you spot recurring themes. Maybe you notice you're quick to judge in certain situations, or that you often feel disconnected during specific conversations. By identifying these patterns, you can begin to address them proactively. Journaling also gives you a space to celebrate the moments where you truly connected, reinforcing what works and building confidence in your ability to nurture those bonds. Here's a simple challenge for you. Tonight, set aside just 5 minutes. Reflect on your day, not just what happened, but how you showed up in your interactions. Were you present? Were you kind? Did you leave room for others to feel heard? These small moments of reflection can become powerful tools for growth, helping you cultivate the kind of magnetic presence that draws people in without force. After all, connection isn't about perfection, it's about awareness, intention, and the willingness to grow. Stoics believed that acceptance is the key to peaceful relationships, and this principle remains as relevant today as it was in ancient times. At its core, acceptance is about seeing people as they truly are, without the filter of judgment or the desire to change them. It's not about condoning harmful behavior, but rather about understanding that everyone is on their own journey, shaped by their experiences and limitations. This Stoic practice encourages us to release the frustration that comes from expecting others to meet our idealized standards and instead embrace them as they are. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." At first glance, this might sound harsh, but it's a profound reminder to approach others with compassion and patience. By acknowledging that people are flawed, just as we are, we can shift from frustration to understanding. This mindset allows us to engage with others more authentically, creating space for deeper, more meaningful connections. Think about a family gathering where tension often arises. Maybe there's a relative who always seems to stir up conflict, or a sibling who never quite meets your expectations. Instead of reacting with frustration, what if you chose to accept their behavior as part of who they are? This doesn't mean you ignore harmful actions, but it does mean you stop trying to control or change them. When you approach the situation with acceptance, you might notice that the energy shifts. The tension eases and you're able to interact with more patience and kindness. Over time, this can transform strained relationships into ones built on mutual respect and understanding. So, how can you practice greater acceptance in your own relationships? Start by reflecting on where you might be holding onto judgment or unrealistic expectations. Are there people in your life you're constantly trying to change? What would it feel like to let go of that need and simply meet them where they are? Acceptance isn't about giving up on growth. It's about creating a foundation of compassion that allows both you and others to flourish. When you embrace this Stoic principle, you'll find that your relationships become more peaceful, authentic, and deeply connected. How often do you overcomplicate your interactions with others? It's easy to fall into the trap of trying too hard, using too many words, worrying about how you're perceived, or overthinking every gesture. But what if the key to deeper connection lies not in adding more, but in stripping things back? This is where Stoic philosophy offers a refreshing perspective. The Stoics believed that simplicity wasn't just a virtue, it was a pathway to clarity, authenticity, and ultimately stronger relationships. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it beautifully: if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. In other words, don't get caught up in the noise, focus on what truly matters. When we simplify our words and actions, we remove distractions and create space for genuine connection. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone spoke plainly and honestly? There's a magnetic quality to that kind of clarity. It's not about impressing others, it's about being fully present and real. Let's bring this idea to life with a practical example. Imagine you're explaining a complex idea to a colleague. Instead of flooding them with jargon and unnecessary details, you break it down into its simplest form. Not only does this make your message clearer, but it also shows respect for their time and attention. The result: fewer misunderstandings and a stronger sense of mutual understanding. Now consider how this applies to your everyday interactions. What if, in your next conversation, you focused on listening more and speaking less? Or if you chose to express your thoughts in a way that's straightforward and free of pretense? Simplifying doesn't mean diminishing, it means amplifying what's essential. It's about letting your true self shine through without the layers of overthinking or performance. Take a moment to reflect: where in your life could simplicity create more meaningful connections? Whether it's a conversation with a friend, a presentation at work, or even how you express gratitude, embracing simplicity can transform the way you relate to others. And remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Start small and notice how this Stoic practice can make your interactions more authentic and magnetic. Stoics believe that gratitude is the glue that holds relationships together. It's not just about saying thank you, but about cultivating a deeper awareness of the value others bring to your life. In Stoic philosophy, gratitude is seen as a virtue, a way to acknowledge the interconnectedness of all people and to foster harmony in our connections. Regularly expressing appreciation isn't just polite. It's a practice that aligns with the Stoic principle of valuing what we have rather than longing for what we lack. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it beautifully when he said, "He who receives a benefit with gratitude repays the first installment on his debt." What he's saying here is that gratitude isn't just a response, it's an action. When we express gratitude, we're not only recognizing the good in others, but also reinforcing the bonds that tie us together. It's a way of giving back, of creating a cycle of mutual respect and care. Think about it. How often do we take the people closest to us for granted? A simple, heartfelt expression of gratitude can shift the dynamic in a relationship. Imagine coming home after a long day and thanking your partner for something small but meaningful, like the way they always make sure there's coffee ready in the morning. That small moment of acknowledgement can deepen your connection, reminding both of you why you value each other. Here's a challenge for you today. Take a moment to express gratitude to someone you care about. It doesn't have to be grand or elaborate. It could be as simple as letting a friend know how much you appreciate their support or thanking a colleague for their hard work. Notice how it feels to give that gratitude and how it might transform the way you see your relationships. Gratitude isn't just a Stoic practice. It's a way to build stronger, more meaningful connections in every area of life. Now let's bring everything together. Throughout this journey, we've explored how Stoic principles like presence, resilience, and self-awareness can help you cultivate a magnetic energy, one that draws people in without the need for forced connections. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical tools for living a more intentional and grounded life. By staying present, you show up authentically in every moment. By building resilience, you navigate challenges with grace, and by nurturing self-awareness, you understand your own worth without seeking external validation. These practices aren't confined to the ancient world, they're timeless, and they're just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be." Be one. It's a powerful reminder that the essence of magnetism lies in action, not just theory. You don't need to overthink it or try too hard. The beauty of Stoicism is that it invites you to focus on what's within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your character. When you embody these principles, you naturally become someone others are drawn to, not because you're seeking their approval, but because you're living in alignment with your highest self. So, I encourage you to take a moment and reflect. How can you bring these Stoic practices into your daily life? Maybe it's by pausing before reacting in a stressful situation, or by reminding yourself of your inner strength when faced with adversity. Small, consistent actions can lead to profound shifts over time. And if you found value in this discussion, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments how you plan to apply these ideas, or let me know which Stoic principle resonates most with you. If you're eager for more insights like these, consider subscribing to this channel. We'll continue exploring timeless wisdom that can help you live a more meaningful, magnetic life. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and remember, the power to connect deeply with others begins with connecting deeply with yourself.